Hi guys, Jordan from B&B Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Rollerteam 400. So if we start under the bonnet, got your brake fluid over here on the left hand side attached to the servo just down the back. Just zoom out a bit. Engine oil goes in through this cap just here. As you can see, it's nice colour, nothing nasty about the oil there. Power steering fluid goes in through this reservoir here at the top. Again, you can see the fluid there, nice level on that. There is a level indicator on the side. You can see down there, level's just right. Engine oil dipstick, this one just here at the front with the yellow top. Your air filter sits underneath this box just here. Obviously all the sort of exhaust and turbo and things like that are all sat down the back there, so just be careful not to put anything near that. You know, obviously don't put your hands anywhere near it after it's been running or anything, but that's the hottest part really. Fuel filter and everything like that sits down there at the back. Engine coolant, this reservoir just here. Obviously don't open that one up when it's been running or if it's hot at all. And your washer fluid, this reservoir just here. As you know, it's already had its full service, so everything, all that sort of stuff's all been done and checked, and you know, whatever needed to be done has been done. Your engine battery itself sits under the driver's seat in this particular vehicle, and same with pretty much all of the Fords actually. So if you want to jump start the vehicle, you've got your positive terminal there, and then negative. You can use anything really. This little engine hoist here does quite well. It's usually where I would hook it onto if I was going to jump start it. It does have this little diagram here, but I couldn't really work it out, you know, where exactly that says. Maybe that is saying about this hoist. But yeah, I think that's where I would pop a negative on there if I was going to jump start it. Otherwise, you've got on the near side, got your diesel filling point just there. So you need your ignition key to go in there to open that up. Freshwater inlet point is this one here. So please do not get confused between diesel at the front, water on the side. I've seen it happen a few times and it's really not good. once you've done that, it's a hell of a job to fix it. So anyway, toilet cassette locker is this one here. So to release that, lift up on this little bit here and then pull the whole thing out towards you. Once you've got it out, you can basically empty it out from here. So turn this and empty it out from here. And whilst you're emptying it out, hold down the little yellow button at the back there, or orange button, sorry. Little air pressure release valve, and it'll make life a lot easier for you. You've got a fresh water flush from here, so as long as you've got a little bit of fresh water in your tank, you can flush your toilet. Closes over like that. Gas locker. So you've got an absolutely massive gas locker in here. You've got space in here for a couple of 13 kilo propanes if you wanted to use 13 kilo propane bottles. It's completely up to you. It's you know, it's at the moment we've just got this single 6 kilo propane, which by the way will last you a hell of a long time anyway, which you'll find out. But you know, it's up to you. If you wanted to change over to the bigger bottles at some point, you can see that there has been bigger bottles in here at some point. But you'll find out when you start using this, you'll be surprised how long it lasts. Gas spanner just there if you wanted to take the pigtail off there to swap it over to a different bottle, nice and easy. And the rest of it on here is completely irrelevant to you guys. If you want to do anything at all you're going to need to do is literally just undo this nut here, pop it onto another bottle using the spanner. You don't need to worry about any of this stuff. This is all just for us testing, making sure there's no leaks anywhere in the vehicle, which obviously there isn't. I'll show you in here. I'll just point out your wastewater drain is tucked up underneath the back of the vehicle. Can't quite work out where it is on the video, but basically there's just a little pulley. Just pull it towards you and it will drop your wastewater out. It just sits at the very back of the vehicle. A load of bits and pieces under here. Looks like it might be an awning or something under there. I'm not sure what it is, but we basically just leave anything that the previous customers leave behind. Obviously you've got your bunk beds here, so the bottom bunk you can easily get through to it here from the from either of these doors. Actually, I'm not going to open up the other side because it's just exactly the same as this side, but yeah, it's all there, everything that needs to be there. Really nice condition as well. There's nothing sort of nasty about any of the wood or anything like that. It's all sort of been kept really well. Sometimes the bunks You know, obviously because kids over the years use the bunk beds in the van, sometimes they can be a bit battered, but it looks like it's been kept really, really nicely. One thing I will run you through whilst we're here, you've got an isolator here on the front of the driver's seat and an isolator here on the, or just basically behind the driver's seat. So this isolator behind the driver's seat is for your leisure battery, so it isolates anything from your leisure battery, and the one on the front is for your engine battery. So the reason these have been put on is because your reversing camera comes on with the ignition. All right, so what you have to do, you absolutely have to do this, if you're going to leave the vehicle, if you're going to turn off the vehicle and leave it for a couple of days or whatever. I mean, it's not the same, you know, if you left it for an hour in the shop or something, you don't have to do this, but if you're going to leave the vehicle for a few days without starting it, you absolutely have to turn this off so that you can take this key out. And when you want to start it, it's so easy, but when you want to start it, just basically push it in and turn it around to the right. And that'll basically bring your dash to life, and then everything will work again. But you see there, as soon as I've turned that on, even without the ignition being on, the reversing camera comes on. So what happens is, something in that reversing camera, whether it just be the screen or, because obviously you can turn the screen off, but we have tried just turning the screen off and leaving it like that, but something inside that reversing camera just carries on draining the battery out. So if you want to keep your battery, if you turn this off and leave it for ages, you know, it doesn't matter how long really, the battery, you know, you can still start it up when you turn it back on again. But we've been finding here that when we don't turn that isolator off, something's draining the engine battery out. So that's why they fitted the isolator. Super easy to use. Just turn it back on again when you want to start the van up, and switch it off when you're finished. It's so easy. Same with the isolator for the leisure battery. They've just done that as well, just because, you know, why not really? If you're not going to use the van for a long time, just switch both of the isolators off, and then when you come back to using it again, both batteries will be really, really good, rather than you know, being used up over however long you've left it for. So in the actual van itself, you've got heater controls here. It's all there. It's all just sort of standard Ford stuff, sorry. Double din head unit up there. Again, another standard Ford thing, so that'd be a really nice quality bit of kit. Hazard lights work from there. You have got, what was it? There, you got cruise control there, so you can set and reset the cruise control off the side of the stalk there. And then you've got steering wheel controls for the cruise control there as well. Oh, that's all the same here as well. So all of this stuff on the steering wheel is all cruise control related. 6-speed manual gearbox, which is so helpful when you're on the motorway. It's so much easier when you can drop it into 6th gear. You know, the revs sit much lower, and it's obviously much better for your fuel consumption as well. So having the 6th gear there is really helpful. Lights, so side lights, main beam, and your electric adjusting mirrors. So choose which mirror you want to move, and then just move this around like a little joystick to move it as and where you need to do it. Other than that, I think that's about it really. So around the other side still, so obviously you've got your door here. Your boiler vent is this one just here. So if you had the boiler lit up on gas, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, pop your hand underneath there and you'll be able to feel warm air coming out through this little hole here. Hookup point, so if you're at home or at your campsite, wherever you are, you've got a hookup cable available. It's really helpful. If you can plug one of those in. The second that you plug a hookup cable into any motorhome, well, not any motorhome, but most motorhomes, the charger will automatically start charging up your leisure battery. So if you have got access to a hookup cable, it does help massively with keeping your leisure battery up together and things. These two are for your fridge, so they're your fridge vents. You won't be able to feel any heat coming out from up here because the exhaust of it sits kind of inside this gap. But yeah, if you ever need to get to anything fridge related, it's all behind these two vents. Obviously, if you do get any problems, just let us know and we'll sort it. But there you go. Right, let me just make sure I haven't left the keys in the got them in my pocket. There you go. Right, so I'll try and do it as logically as I can. So you've got a main lights on and off switch just here, which then will allow you to go around and turn on whatever lights you want to. You know, I think pretty much every light in this entire van has got its own switch on it. The one up there works via this button here. It has got a switch on it as well, but I've just sort of left it on there so that you can just work it from this switch down here, just in case you can't reach it, I suppose. But that's up there. Water pump switch, so let me just show you that. First thing you want to do when you come into the van, by the way, as long as you've got some water in the tank, pop your pump switch on. Just come to your tap here and pull the hot water. The pump will kick in, and basically if the water comes through like this and you're on your hot side, that proves to you that your boiler is full of water. All right. If you pull the tap to the hot side and nothing came through, that proves to you that your boiler's empty, basically, and you shouldn't use your boiler until your boiler's full of water. All right. Switch the pump off. You've also got a battery level checker, so that tells you there your battery level. Light on and off switch for the awning light, I think. Wherever that button is, there will be one for that. Yeah, so you know, essentially you just got water level checker, so you've got about a quarter of a tank of fresh water, and then battery level checker, that's your leisure battery level. So about 3/4 in your leisure battery, which is good, especially because there's no hookup cable plugged into it. So that's a control panel. It's all pretty straightforward. There's nothing too technical about it. Basically, as soon as you turn that isolator on down there, everything will come to life anyway, just like that. You've then got your combi boiler dial just here. So if I just show you how that works, it's gas only. So all you need to worry about really is if you want the hot water with no heating, you go up 1 or up 2. Up 1 is 40 degrees of hot water and up 2 is 60. So if you didn't want any heating at all, but you did want hot water, after you've checked that your boiler's full by doing what I've just shown you there, that's all you need to do. Literally just choose 40 or 60. You'll hear it light up. The boiler itself sits inside this little cupboard here. So it's a nice modern one. And yeah, basically after a couple of seconds or so, it will just light up and the water will start to warm up. So that's how you use it on, that's what you would call your summer setting. So up is summer setting, which means obviously, like I said, just hot water only with no heating. I can hear now it's just about to light up. If you wanted your winter setting, so you wanted heating as well, you go back down to the middle, like that. So that's back off. And you can either go down 1 for heating only, or down 2 for heating and hot water at the same time. So like I said, down is your winter setting, up is your summer setting. All right, so hot water only is up 1 or up 2. Up 1 is 40, up 2 is 60 degrees. Down 1 is heating only, down 2 is heating and hot water at 60 degrees. Your heating will come around through these circular vents around the vehicle. There's probably a few more dotted about. There'll be one in the bathroom as well somewhere. There you go, there straight away. So that's where that is. Your 3-burner hob here doesn't have any ignition on it. It's classic, sort of like German vehicles. They really don't tend to have them on. So you need an igniter or something to light these up. They've all got a thermocouple on them, which is the little prong of metal at the back here. So basically what a thermocouple does, which by the way, every gas appliance in this van will have a thermocouple. What it does is it senses burning gas. So if you lit any of these up, the thermocouple will allow it to stay on. And then what will happen is when you turn it off, or if it, essentially the reason you have them is if you open this window up and lit this up and one of the flames get blown out, the gas will constantly just be pumping through, won't it? Unless you've turned it off here, the gas will just carry on pumping through. And what the thermocouple does is if it realizes that there's gas coming through but the flame isn't lit, it will stop that gas coming through after about sort of 10 seconds or so. So basically you can't fill the van up with gas unnecessarily, basically. Right, down here you've got a couple of gas isolators and your 240 volt trip switch. So if you plugged your hook up into the vehicle and something wasn't happy, it would trip from down there. Basically, it's just on the back of the inlet. And there's a little diagram on each of these showing you exactly what they do. You just turn it 90 degrees and that'll just isolate the gas from whichever appliance you choose to isolate. Yeah, I've got a couple of 240 volt sockets up here which have been aftermarket fitted by the looks of it, but actually done really neatly. There's nothing, you can't even see where the wires come from, so they've done a really nice job of that. Whoever's done that has done a nice job. But you have got a factory fitted plug just here if you did want that. The reason that they've done that, by the way, just so you know, is that these German vehicles, this was probably the only plug in the entire vehicle. I've seen it so many times where they've literally just got one, or sometimes they don't even have any. Because I think what a lot of the German people like to do, I mean, I might be wrong, but I think from what I've seen, they do just kind of wild camp. They don't tend to use mains hookups. Everything's only on gas and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's just the way that they do it over there. So that's why there's, you know, aftermarket plug sockets there. That's why they've been put in up there. You've got a grill in here. I'll just switch that light off. Just realised that light's on in there. So the grill, obviously you need to have the door open when you're using it. You can pull this little bit forwards. A little bit rusty on top, but that's just the way they go. You can pull that forwards to have it as like a shield for stopping any of this getting too damaged. But yeah, you need to have the door open when you're using that. You've got a piezo igniter, so you basically, it's quite noisy, but that is just the way they are. That's how you actually get the thing to spark, and then you do that whilst you're pushing in and round on this. All right, so that's how you light that up. Fridge is underneath this, so again, really nice and simple but effective fridge. It's a three-way fridge, so it works on gas, mains, or 12 volt. So if you want to light it up on gas, one round to the right, and it'll basically just do its thing and it will light up, as long as you've got your gas switched on, obviously. If you had a mains hookup lead plugged in, you'd go 2 round and you should get a little green light in there. Obviously I've not got a hookup lead plugged in at the moment, so that's not going to work. Or if your engine was running, you go all the way down to the bottom for your 12 volt switch there. So the way that you have to use these, you'll get to grips with it pretty quickly anyway, but the way that they work is you need to get the fridge cold first, either via the gas or the mains, for a good couple of hours with your stuff inside it, or, you know, as long as it takes for it to get properly cold. And they do take hours, by the way. It's not something that's going to happen in a couple of minutes. However you light it up, even if it's on gas, they do still take a good few hours to actually get cold. But basically you need to get the fridge cold first, like I said, either via the gas or the mains, and then switch it over to the 12 volt just for when you're driving. The 12 volt element in the back of the fridges doesn't get hot enough to cool the fridge down on its own, if that makes sense, because obviously the element in the back heats up and then in turn cools the fridge down. But on the 12 volt element, it's so much narrower than the 240 volt, and it's obviously gets a lot less power going to it. The 12 volt element's there really just to hold whatever temperature you put in it first. So if you, whatever temperature you get it to on the gas or the electric, it won't really change it very much when you change it over to 12 volt. But if you don't change it over to 12 volt when you're driving, when you get to where you're going, everything in the fridge will start, would have started warming up. So basically just light it up on gas if you want to use gas, pop it on the 240 volt if you want to use 240, and then just remember to switch down to the 12 volt one for when your engine's running. And then when you get to where you're going, switch back to one of the other two. But like I said, it's really not as difficult as it sounds. It's nice and simple when you get the hang of it. This cupboard just here, you've got loads of bits and pieces. All of your paperwork is in this brown box. Obviously there's a few extra bits in the office for the, you know, the logbook and things like that. But extra cushions for the bed. I imagine it's probably to make up some kind of a bed round here. I'm not 100% myself. Screens for the front windscreen, which aren't cheap, by the way. So previous customers have been kind and left them in there for you. Booster for your TV aerial is that bit there, and your actual TV aerial tilt and turn is this bit just here. So it's all there, it's all been left as it was. Again, it's just, you know, it's really not been bad at all. The bunks up here are really nice condition. They've not been sort of messed around with too much, so that's good. And probably the last bit really is the bathroom. You've got a light up here, which is a nice blue colour. Nice and simple really. You can pull this all the way out to make it work as your shower, which is up there, or push it all the way back if you want to use it just as your sink. Pull the water through. Oh, hold on a second, I'll turn your pump switch on. Pump switch on. Pull the water through, and once it's coming through, you can press this button down at the top and it'll make it come through like a shower. You've got really good pressure. Pull it up again, makes it go back like that. So that's, yeah, really good pressure there. Drains out really well. What else have we got? A couple of the more lights up there. The toilet is really nice and simple the way that these work. So your flush fluid, push that button, and then as you see, flush fluid pumps around inside there, and then you can open the cassette, or open it into the cassette. Open, so that drains it all into the cassette. Close back over. Really important to close it back over again after you've finished, because one, you'll obviously get bad smells coming back up into the van if you don't, but if you leave that cassette flap open, you will not be able to take the cassette out from outside. All right, so that's really important. Once you've done that, really, I mean, you can just go around and switch off your lights and things like that. Make sure that all of your skylights are down, so you know these ones here just open up by twisting on this. Make sure that they're all in the down and locked position. Bed, you've obviously got your clip up there for that, but yeah, otherwise it's all pretty straightforward. There's nothing too crazy in here that I've got to spend ages running you through. It's all pretty straightforward, nice and simple. If you want to go, if you're going to start driving off, make sure that your gas is switched off, all of your appliances are off, and mainly most of it in here, obviously I've gone through as much as I can, but most of it in here is all sort of stuff that you'll just get used to. But the one thing I want to make really clear is that the isolator down here on the front of this driver's seat, it's not a problem at all, because if you stick by what I said and switch that isolator off when you're finished with using the vehicle, when you come back to it and turn it back on again, it will start up. It's not a problem at all. But if you don't turn that off, I can pretty much guarantee you that after a couple of days it will be dead. And I mean, obviously, that it's a bit more of an extreme for us here on the site because we leave them for days and days on end. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to want to use it a bit more often than we do here. But, if you don't turn that isolator off, it will die after a week or so, or, however long. So make sure that when you finish, turn that isolator off and, you'll be golden from there. So I'm going to do that now. Actually, I'll turn this isolator off here for your leisure battery, and then I'll go around. In fact, I've already turned that one off, so we'll be good to go for that. All right, so I think I've shown you everything I can. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.